Blessed Be the Vampire by Dana Lee, Chapter 29. The family was delusional, cursed. Or maybe it was just me. There were 2 double homicides, 2 murders, and 2 missing persons within 100 years' time, so I decided to lay low for a while. I intermingled with them, befriended them, only to feel that perhaps God's wrath was striking out against them because of me. I wasn't created for human love and compassion, only vengeance, pain, and death. But those were hard times for everyone, I rationalized. The 20th century had intervened, and the golden times were amongst us, so I thought. I was wrong and disillusioned again. I was their keeper. My American family and everything was always the same. But now they had taken in a lot of Irish, which had only added to the miasma of blood. This tantalized me back to them, because I still remembered Tom's forgotten heart. They had forgotten it, these faucets of my golden time, and I was a very old vampire after all. That is another reason why I feel drawn to chronicle my life, for some memories are 1,000 years old, and I can't remember everything. My mind has its limits, even if my sentence is not up. And there was a colony of lost boys waiting for me, my family welcoming me as the dark angel of their dreams. 5 of them, with a mad Irish mother who wouldn't change them. Would leave them on the rooftop as infants, burn them on the stove, and whip them with the catty ninetail. But she found me in a dark place, and I ended it all for them, so I thought. But really it had just begun. The Father William worked, and the boys were sent off amongst the family. My boy Dan was sent off to the haunted house, where the former owner had murdered his wife and mockingly planted her in the basement when he discovered that she was unfaithful. I have a feel for these things, a strong sense of our sinful past, so I just had to go. Besides, Arnetta, the mystic, and most delusional of the family at the time, lived here. She had her own children and an abusive husband. She had befriended this ghost they all had, and he protected them. Through the years, that house is always for sale. When I see it, it's like my heart. I sold my old red brick and moved to the city for the golden time, closer to the river. Arnetta and the family moved to California when I dumped her husband's disgusting corpse in the Allegheny. Who would have known? Who cared? I was the albatross bat. Yet they only saw the good in me, this family from the many-colored hill with the many-colored eyes. All of the Fawcett's have exquisite eyes. Night eyes, eyes of the wolf, cat, and owl. I would play games with the boys, hide-and-seek, war, and sardines. Arnetta would read my cards. Broken apart, the boys did not fare well. They saw me at war in Vietnam, the horror of the dark jungle. They saw me in the alleys where they smoked when they ran away. The youngest saw me when he killed himself, the hanged man, with a new perspective, the angel of death. Dan came back to me, to the river, as a man. Arnetta came back too. I'd like to think that they couldn't keep away. She lived in her father's pigeon coop. Of course it was reincarnated to a little house, and besides the bats found it charming. It was about this time that Dana called me, a child, my daughter, Arnetta's niece, more controversial than myself. Born for me, sun in Aries, moon in Cancer, fire and water. She had her mother's wild eyes, my mother's eyes. Sometimes I would scare her mother, Cheryl, and her brother Glenn, looking in the windows at them at night. Then they'd think it was just a shadow and settle back in the night. It must have really tormented Glenn, who so trained himself in believing in nothing at all. All was nothingness before my earth angel returned for me. Chapter 30. Leviticus was in my blood, and I tossed his book away with disgust without finishing it. He had finished it for all of us, damn him, demon. And he had all the time in the world to plan it all, pull it off. I was left with nothing, without a heart. That wasn't true. I now had all the time in the world, too. Chapter 31. Dana was 7 when I took her grandmother's heart. I was only trying to save her, deliver her. She had suffered 2 heart attacks already and a stroke, for like all of them from the many-colored hill, she had gifts enough to atone for, at least I suppose. She was an artist with a beautiful soul, bliss, and enlarged heart. I never fed before like this, before this family. I need to be part of something, a part of them. Her soul was already gone from the hospital bed, looking for Dana, and now I had her heart. She was staying with Arnetta because Cheryl was taking her mother's death the hardest. She was the youngest child, and she blamed the doctor for Leona's death. Dana called Arnetta Fawny, her middle name being Fawn. They were in bed together, Leona's old bed with the flowery spread. Fawny was reading a deck of playing cards showing Dana the little witches. "Oh, look, that's Danny. This is bad. The devil, murder, prison. Let's go to sleep and say your prayers, a prayer for Danny, a special one. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." Chapter 32. Dan was waiting for his drug dealers when he found me instead. He was insane. I felt like him, felt his need to cope in a cold, cold world. They were killers, these dealers in slow death, not merciful like me. I felt his hunger and pain. It shone in his eyes like a beacon in the fog. He saw me in the shadow and blinked a childhood recollection, an adult resolution. The drug dealers came right behind, and he emptied a couple of rounds into them, went home, and went to bed. Chapter 33. Dana called the bats the night dancers. She admired their grace. I would dance with her in the dark when she was supposed to be sleeping, even when she didn't know I was there. Sometimes she sensed me, felt me, heard my voice, but I was waiting and giving her time and grace. I would not destroy her. She was my last and only prayer. She was beautiful, not beautiful as a woman, but beautiful as the night. She painted and made dolls and dollhouses, wrote stories, poetry, books. My artist, and came to be my lover. Soon I will claim her for my bride, eternal. I have it coming to me. In her eyes alone I will be redeemed through love. So I end my tale with that, not atonement in blood where it began, but redemption through love. I traveled the world again, tried my hand at painting, saw my old homes, and now they seem just that, old. For my heart dwells with her, always with her. I saw the millennium pass, and when the world did not stop, I knew it was time. Chapter 34. It was time for me to return to my husband and save us all. And I realized that my love was not shut up in my heart. It was waiting down the road, crying at the lock. Leviticus wasn't home. And then I was home. I materialized right at my front door, my house in Oakland, and I could smell my husband. The door was not locked. I would have locked it. I kept it locked. I walked in. Kathy Kittywitch, the cat, came to greet me with her green-eyed black smile. I gathered her up and squeezed, felt the same love, even better. There was a woman, her Eliza, Paul's sister's friend, who ran a lingerie shop. Once when I left Paul before we were married and came back, he said, "You should have come to Karen's party with me. I hate going alone. Her friend wanted me bad, and she was all right. She chased me down the couch, thought she was coming home with me. On my way out the door, I had to push her off of me and tell her, 'Sorry, honey. See what you do to me?' I don't care. I hope the bitch's head catches fire." And it did. Dumbass lit a match, relighting Karen's pilot light in the same room that she groped my Paul. Now here she was in my house with my husband and I had only been dead a month. Well, you can imagine her reaction to seeing me all the whiter. The bitch died in shock. I thought of eating her heart, but decided that's not what I came for. I didn't want it. He came running, not for me, but he heard her screams. Dane, he dropped to his knees. You came back. I knew you could never leave me. He wept and kissed the cold hands of death. What the fuck is she doing here? Who? The dead bitch, that's who. Oh, her. I told you if you ever betrayed me that I'd kill you both. Now look. And I didn't even lay a finger on her. She can't be dead. He got up to check. Don't fucking touch her. Dane, he turned to me. I never did. She was just bringing me dinner, I told you. Only you, always. He kissed me. There was no trace of her on him. But a man's got to eat. And so do I.